Hello everyone, this is Justin Bathen. I'm one of I'm the UK co-director of STEAM Academy, and I wanted to present here in this video our metrics as of April 2016. These metrics were first talked about at our STEAM town hall meeting that we had here this month, and I wanted to make sure that we had it on video so that everyone in our STEAM community can sort of see how we're doing here at the end of year 3. So just to get us started, a reminder of where our demographics as a school currently stand. So you can see that we are 56% white, 44% minority, and this year we are 35% free and reduced lunch meal qualifiers. This year went down in that percentage quite a bit. And you can see our stats on ELL students and special education. So first, this presentation is going to be presented in two parts. Part one of this presentation is going to be around non-traditional metrics, and part two of this presentation is going to be on traditional metrics. All right, so first our non-traditional metrics, and anyone that's been associated here with STEAM in year 3 knows that we decided this year to really go for internships. So I want to present some data on that front. First off, 195 students at STEAM Academy were placed in an internship in the spring semester of 2016. All right, that's a really big number. 195 out of about 330 some kids. So over half our building was out on internships on Thursdays. For sophomores, that translated mostly into the community. You can see about 61% of students of the sophomore class were out in community placements, with about a third of sophomores placed at UK. And for juniors, you can see that first off, almost every single junior was placed in an internship, one exception, and 72% of those were in community internships, with only about a quarter at UK. Here's the big number though. All those internships translated into about 15,200 hours of actual student time in internship placements for spring of 2016 for here at STEAM. We're super proud of this number. Now, typical caveats apply. It wasn't, when we do particularly sophomore internships, there's a lot of observation going on, more so than the performance of doing the job. But that observation is still really valuable knowledge and skills for the kids in getting to observe real professions in practice. Second big caveat around this number is that this number does not include STEAM's community service hours on top of that. If you add STEAM's community service hours, which are not part of our internship program, but a separate thing that we ask kids to do at STEAM Academy, then we're coming up on about 20,000 hours of STEAM kids working in the community outside the walls of STEAM Academy, doing some real-world, real application stuff. We're super proud of this number, and I think it's a great starting place for us here in year 3 of STEAM Academy. Let's move on. Another big thing we've launched into here in year 3 is around dual credit. Now that we have juniors at STEAM Academy, we're wanting to provide potentially higher education options to those students. I can tell you right now, dual credit has been one of the harder components for us at STEAM Academy to try to figure out. We would like to have more dual credit options than what you'll see represented in the data. We're working hard to try to make that happen for our kids and make the partnerships work with higher education providers. But here's what we have so far. So this year we ran 4 different courses, and we ran the English 100 with Moorhead, 2 sections of that, both in fall and spring. You can see about how many students were in each of the different courses. That is representative. Those students were representative on free and reduced lunch populations of our school as a whole. But you can see that we have a little bit of work to do yet around minority enrollment in our dual credit courses. Now, this is just the first year we're messing with it. I want to give some caveats, but I also want to be really honest with the data and show you that, yeah, we have a little bit of work to do to make sure that students of all races are equally getting to the dual credit coursework at the same time. So it's something we're going to watch and track and try to get better at. How are they doing? Good question. We're watching it, and we've been watching it. So this is this semester's performance on dual credit courses across both Moorhead State and UK. And this shows you how our kids are doing right now. So most of our students are making A or B, in their Moorhead or UK course. And so we're really happy with this number, especially with the UK courses, because those students are in the real UK course, what you think of when you think of a UK course with a professor here on campus, up against other undergraduate students at UK. They are still performing quite well. Now, this is not final data. We'll see how the final grades come in, but this is sort of midpoint data about how the kids are doing halfway through these courses. So, but still a good data point for us. What does this mean for families? I added up, I put together the different tuition rates and how many credit hours we use from each of the institutions. This translates right now to a little bit shy of $80,000 saved to STEAM families in tuition that might have been paid had the student graduated high school, then enrolled full-time. Okay, so I think we're not only getting kids some good options with dual credit, and we want to get bigger and do more in this space, but I think we're also saving families money in credits that they can then apply to their degree programs when they leave us here at STEAM. Super. Some other sort of metrics. We've had some early graduates this year, something that we're pretty proud of at STEAM Academy. If students want to move through our academic program and they want to reach a higher education outcome that they can defend to us at the end of their junior year, we're very open to that. And so this year we had 5 students that chose that path and are moving on into smart options after high school. We make the students prove that to us. So if you're considering it, that's one thing that you'll have to prove, is that you have the next option already in place. We're also big on inquiry learning. We've been pushing it a lot, and we think it's a great option for kids. A lot of the actual skills, the actual things kids are doing when they engage in the process of inquiry learning have been shown from a research perspective to be effective in helping the kids embrace and engage in their own learning. So we're pretty big fans, and we've been working hard to try to get our teachers into this space. So here's where we're at this year with PBL. You can see most of our classes are mostly still somewhat traditional at their core. Okay, it's something we're working on. We're going to continue to try and improve on, but most of our courses are not fully project-based learning. A decent percentage of our courses are partially project-based learning, where there's multiple large-scale projects at the core of how the course gets taught. And you can see that over half of our courses, around 60%, have at least one PBL, at least one project-based experience embedded in the course somewhere. I think that's a pretty good number. And the thing that we're continuing to try to push, and we always need parents' help on, coming to our public exhibitions of our students' work. When they're out doing these active projects, meeting design challenges, we want them to show their work to the public, own the quality or lack of quality in their work through public exhibitions. And so you can see about how many courses out of 110 courses, a little over 30, around 34 courses are doing public exhibitions. Okay, some room for growth on project-based learning, but a huge takeaway is, on the whole, these numbers, if you ran those for other high schools, I think STEAM would look pretty well. Our teachers are legitimately trying. They're trying to figure this out. I'm happy about that, but we're going to keep pushing it to try to get more of our courses sort of PBL at their core. All right, what are some other, one last non-traditional metric, all right? Just one more. I know this video is getting long already. Real-time transparency. So what percentage of our courses are we being transparent about from a digital perspective? And for us, this means on Canvas, using our learning management system called Canvas, which if you're a STEAM parent, you probably know all about. That brings a lot of transparency to the process. Not only are there real-time grades and real-time feedback coming to the students as soon as the teacher grades the work, it also brings a lot of transparency to the teachers. The students either submitted or didn't submit into Canvas. There's no dog ate my homework kind of stuff. We love getting rid of those excuses on the part of kids. It's very transparent on that front. But also there's a lot of transparency to you as parents if you're a parent of a STEAM student. We want you to see what we're doing, to see the components of our modules, to see how we're putting together the learning experiences. That level of transparency is a level of transparency that I'm super proud of here at STEAM, because we can say we are at 100% courses on our learning management system. Now, we could get better with those courses. There's still room for growth here, but our entire school has committed to using Canvas as our learning management system and bringing that transparency into the system. I'm pretty confident in saying, as a professor at UK and a person that works statewide, that we are likely the first educational institution in Kentucky to achieve this, and that includes higher education. So really proud of that marker. A lot of good things happening on that front. Let's look at some traditional metrics. All right, these are some things you're used to seeing from schools. First off, standardized exams. So the big one for high school is not a surprise, and the exam that matters to kids is the ACT. So let's take a look at how we're doing. This year this is our overall ACT number, includes first-time takers as sophomores and our juniors. We hit at a 21.5 overall ACT average for all takers at our school. Now, 21.5, that is a moderate ACT score. It's a decent score. It will get you into a lot of four-year schools, but maybe not all four-year schools. But when you put that in context, and let me do that for you, it's a number that I think we're pretty proud of at STEAM Academy. So here is sort of the 15, 16 numbers for all of Fayette County Public Schools and where those composite scores came down. Remember, ours was 21.5. You can see that Henry Clay and us are pretty close together, with Henry Clay's 1 percentage decimal point higher. Lafayette and Dunbar had a good year. These numbers will bounce up and down. Dunbar's number went up a little bit this year. It was a little down last year. So these numbers will move around a little bit. But nevertheless, you can see where STEAM is sort of falling in line with the other four high schools in the city and significantly above Bryan Station High School. That is just where the data puts us right now. Look at that state number at the bottom, though. What's really, I think, interesting to give you some really good context is Lexington's high schools outside of Bryan Station do a pretty good job on ACT overall. And so our 21.5 at STEAM Academy will put us in the top 10, 15% of all high schools in the state of Kentucky. So that's a really good number when you look at Kentucky as a whole. Here in Lexington, 4 of the high schools are doing pretty well. 4 now and 5, including STEAM, are doing pretty well on ACT overall. And you can see that we at STEAM are falling in line with that group. And we feel pretty good about that. We'll continue to watch these numbers and we'll continue to try to improve. But there we are in year 3 of STEAM Academy. Some other numbers we're tracking, and this is a huge slide with tons of data, and you can pause the video if you really want to look at the data in detail. That you're welcome to do so. Overall, what we're seeing at STEAM, the green indicators are better than the red and orange indicators on these metrics. And so on English 2, what you're seeing for us is that we're achieving a pretty high level of proficient or distinguished, but we're not reaching the number of distinguished kids that some of the other schools are reaching. That's an indicator for us, but overall good on English. When you look at both biology and algebra, not as good. We're not doing as well at getting our kids to proficient or distinguished. And there's certainly a gap between STEAM Academy and the other 4 high schools on those metrics. Just on this test, which is sort of an old iteration, but nevertheless, there's some work to do on English and on math and science. And then down there in history, you can see this is the first year we took history. These are slightly estimated numbers, but this is the initial data we got back shows sort of this picture. We're going to be doing quite well on history when those final numbers come out relative to the rest of the city and relative to the state. Okay, so we're watching that data as well. You can see some strength in English and history are building already. We've got more work to do in math and science. Okay, a couple of other traditional metrics. Discipline has always been a bit of a strength of STEAM Academy, and it continues to be. We have a very low 3.8% of our students get suspended. That's a very, very low suspension rate. Let me give you some context on that. Here's the rest of the high schools in Lexington and their number of suspension events relative to the number of students. Okay, so you can see that really outlier there at Bryan Station, where actually there's more suspension events than there are students at Bryan Station. And then you can see out of the other high schools, the number of events to the number of students. And you can see STEAM for 14-15 and 15-16 just has a really low number of suspension events relative to our number of students. Overall, the picture on discipline is that we just don't have the same discipline challenges at STEAM that some of the other high schools are dealing with. So far that has held for the first 3 years of STEAM Academy. We'll continue to watch it and see if that holds. And related, I think, somewhat to discipline is attendance, in that we have some of the highest rates of attendance in Lexington as well. So 94.42 is our year-to-date STEAM attendance number, and here's the context for that. For 14-15 and 15-16, that our attendance rate falls quite a bit higher than the other high schools in Lexington. I think it paints a picture that generally kids like to be at STEAM, and when they're at STEAM are generally well behaved. We don't have major discipline events. We certainly can continue to work on the overall daily discipline culture. It's an area I think we've identified for growth at STEAM. Oh my gosh, that was a huge amount of data. I hope I didn't overwhelm you. I wanted to give you a picture of STEAM. It's an evolving thing. These numbers are constantly changing almost on a daily basis. So we do our best to stay on top of all of them, but once in a while I think it makes sense to put out a snapshot. I hope you found it useful. If you have questions about what we're doing at STEAM Academy or any of these data points, feel free to follow up with our team. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.